Hello,
Hello.
welcome everyone on the Kyma Prow Migration Working Group. Please mute yourself if you are not talking. Okay, thank you. Uh, Today I will be your host, and Michał Chudy will take the notes. And agenda for today's meeting is following. At the beginning, I will give you the current status and the next priorities, and later Tomek Smelcer will present GKE integration results cleanup status. Okay, let's have a look on what was done in the recent week in the test infra repository. As you can see, again, new record. We have 41 pull requests merged by 16 people, so quite a lot. Now let's review our board, and let's start with to accept column. So here we have, for example, uh, finished job about providing easy access to job logs from pull request view. So let me check it or demo it very quickly. Let's choose one of the pull requests, and here oh, for that one we still do not have a status, so let's have a look maybe here. Show our checks, and for example now we are able to click on the details link, and that goes redirect us to the status build Kyma project IO, and when you click build log, you will see what was done on the job. And we were able to do that thanks to the Spyglass, but to enable Spyglass, we have to update version of the Procaster. So it was another job which was done by Suleiman this week. And what else we can find on the in the to accept column? We have also post-submit job for integration test that runs on GKE. So now when you merge the master, two integration jobs are run. One is running a test on Minikube on virtual machine. The second one runs creates GKE cluster, and on that runs schema integration. And we have also one interesting problem recently. On many jobs in the logs, you can find the error that you cannot access Docker on components build. It was caused that or every job requires a lot of CPU and memory, and when we run many jobs concurrently, we have not enough resources, and at some point Docker daemon was stopped, and our solution and we have two solutions for that. One, we limit the maximum of concurrent jobs in the Pro. Currently is set to 10. When we have a bigger cluster, we will increase that value. And also, when we update our Pro components, we notice that there is a possibility to specify run if change for the post-submit jobs, and thanks to that we limited the number of post-submit jobs running on the merging to the master branch for Kyma repository. So generally we limit, thanks to that, a number of jobs that are executed after every merge to the master. Okay. And now let's have a look on the status of our epics. The most important is about defining Pro pipelines for Kyma components. And as you can see, most of the issues are now in the closed state, so it's very good. We have only a few in the review column, only 2 in progress, and still we need to define jobs for 5 components, and we also have one final task that should validate if all images built by Pro are correct. So in that issue, we want to configure Kyma to use only images that were generated by Pro and check if everything is fine. So it will be final check. And I hope that we will be able to finish that epic at the beginning of the next week. Next epic, which is very important for us, is this hardening Prow cluster. And as you can see, we already, I would say, we are somehow in the middle of that epic because we have some closed issues, some to accept, some in progress, and only a few in the to-do column. And as you can see, in the in progress column, we have the task about displaying metrics on a dashboard using the dedicated gcloud project for Prow setup. So it is very important. And previously, we also mentioned about providing easy access to logs. As you already saw it, it is already merged and it's waiting for the acceptance. Okay, and the third epic about providing a pipeline for releasing Kyma is still in to-do column. And let me very quickly show maybe not so beautiful PowerPoint, but here are timeline for our working group, and we are in the week 2 currently. So at that moment, we should have migrated all components. So as you can see, we still have 5 components to migrate. So we have a small delay here, but we also implement a lot of in the hardening cluster. We also recently spent a lot of time on observing how our cluster is behaving. So I think we are still almost on track. Do you have any comments to what I presented? If no, let's go to the next point in our agenda. It will be presented by Tomasz. Tomek, are you ready?
Yes, give me a second. Should I share my screen or just comment? Well, essentially, with respect to, I won't be sharing maybe because there are a few issues related to that problem. It's mainly about cleaning up the resources that are allocated by our integration jobs, which are the ones that provision clusters. Yes, also there are other resources, and it took us some time to really find a way to somehow get to these resources. I mean, find those resources using Google's API. And now we think we got all the necessary information, and the good thing is that for cleaning disks, the pull request is open, and there is a tool written. The pull request is open and it's already approved. So I will wait until the end of today because I could merge it, but perhaps some of you guys want to take a look. So please take a look. If you have any comments, then you're welcome. And this tool will allow us to clean disks. And for the networking resources, we already have a tool, but it's not yet written nicely into Golang, and we will focus on that. And what's left are clusters, which are very easy to find and delete, and IP addresses and DNS records, which we already know the way how to find IP addresses. We can check if they are used by anything. If they are not used, we can delete those and I would say connected DNS records. So it looks like we technically are able to clean all resources. And my only concern is about priority of these tasks. and I would like to know if these are high priority or somehow lower priority than component migration. This is the only concern right now. Yep.
In my opinion, okay, thank you, Tomasz. In my opinion, all that issues that are related to the removing orphaned resources like disk clusters, network resources are high priority. And in the same time, we are expecting that all components will be migrated till the, I don't know, mid of the next week, because we have still 6 components to migrate, and without that, we cannot move to the next point, like defining some strategy for releasing and so on.
Okay, so these 2 open tasks should be finished, of course. I mean, cleaning disks and networking resources, which are perhaps most costly for us. Clusters are not that. First, they can be easily found and deleted manually for the next week. For example, yeah, we can do it. They are labeled already, so it's very easy to find. And there are not that many clusters as, for example, disks. And IP addresses and DNS records, yes, we must take a look, but essentially this task will have to wait, I guess, until we migrate the components, right?
Okay, so at the end we will have periodic jobs which cleans all that resources you mentioned, yeah?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
We want to proceed like this. First, create tools in Golang that could be launched manually. Yes, because then review is easier. We can use for review. Well, it's a bad word, but we can ask for review colleagues that do not necessarily know Prow very well and get their acceptance or comments and yeah, prepare the tools, and in subsequent pull requests we can either provide a pro job, or there will be one central pro job that will just launch these tools in sequence or in parallel, it doesn't matter, and the tools will do the job. So that's my yeah, that's my preferred way of proceeding with this task, because obviously I wouldn't like to make one big pull request with all of this. First, it would be very late. I mean, we would have to wait like 2 weeks for that. It doesn't make sense, and it would be very big pull request, so hard to review. So if you agree with that approach, then we can continue like this. Or
okay.
I don't need feedback right now. We can discuss it offline.
Okay, I have one more question. So currently we are going to perform cleanup only for orphan resources. So we are talking about the resources which were created by the job, which was later aborted. Yeah. So normally we remove all that resources in the regular job. Yeah. But periodic jobs take care only about orphaned.
There is one category of resources that's not cleaned up yet by, I think so. Well, I'm not sure really, but I'm pretty sure this category of resources are load balancers, because there is no, yeah, this is not deleted, I would say, synchronously along with the job. So it's not, the job doesn't care. From my experiments, they are not cleaned up when, for example, you uninstall Kyma from the cluster. Although Kyma somehow allocates these resources, they are not cleaned up when you uninstall, for example, this object from the cluster. So yeah, and even removing the cluster, well, removing the cluster also left, these resources are left there in Google Cloud. So for this, we must have a periodic job. We could then, of course, attach this logic to the job itself so that they are cleaned synchronously. But right now it's not the case. All the other resources, yes, they are cleaned up along with the job, assuming the job terminates normally. Yes, it's not terminated prematurely by an error or just the Prow cluster itself.
So could you give us summary which resources are not cleaned up in the normal execution of the Kyma GK integration?
Something you could refer to as load balancer, although technically there is no such thing. In terms of a Google API object, load balancer consists of at least 3 objects, and these are health check, backend service, and URL map. This is called like that, but we can refer just to them as a load balancer. So this is something that consumes our quota, and if we exceed the quota, we will be blocked. So it's essential to remove those things. But as I mentioned, there is no single entity in Google's API called load balancer. This is more complicated, but yeah.
Okay, so this load balancer will be removed by a periodic job, but
Yes.
should we also create an issue that that load balancer things should be removed on the Kyma integration test itself? What do you think?
Well, I would say not right now. Why? Because the Kyma integration job right now is still written in Bash, and extending it with substantial amount of logic and the script for cleaning those load balancer, we already have it in Bash, and it's at least as big as the Kyma integration job. So you are talking here about really extending this Bash source code. It's not really nice. Yes, I would rather prefer to keep it in this periodic job, finish this periodic job as soon as we can, even run it every 2 hours, no problem. So we will have this cleanup, we will have it ensured, and later on gradually replace our existing Bash script with some, for example, Go code, some better solution. Yeah, Go code is one solution. I don't know. Any proper programming language would be preferred here, because although this job is readable, it's not really maintainable. I mean, extending it in Bash is hard. So yeah, I would rather prefer some task to rewrite it into for example, Golang program. That would be better.
Okay, so for a time being, we should just remember that these the only resources that are not cleaned in the job itself. Okay.
Yes, yes, and the good news is that although the Go tool for cleaning that up, this tool is not ready yet, uh, we are continuing working on that, and I expect that by the middle of next week it should be ready to use, and we hope the pull request will be merged. So we are talking here about a few days only. Um, until that, we'll still have to do it manually using the Bash script solution. So it's not very risky, so to speak. It's something we can live with for the next few days, I think.
Okay, thank you so much. Do we have anything more you would like to talk today? If no, thank you for your attending today, and see you on next Friday. Thank you and bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.